Hi guys, this is Farmer Lesbian from Reddit. I am making this video to show everyone how to do the time zone trick for infinite, or well, for a lot of assistant otter resources. I apologize in advance because I have never ever made a video before, so this will probably be kind of awkward, but I felt like people were having a hard time understanding the written instructions for this, and it's a really, really good exploit, so I wanted to make sure that people had access to it and could understand how to do it. So, first things first, you have to have bought the Assistant Otter in-app purchase for this to work. It doesn't work otherwise. So, as you can see, it is 9:57 p.m. In my time zone. My Otter resets at 11 p.m. That's the time that it starts generating new resources because that's the time that I bought it. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the settings menu and I'm going to go to the date and time. I'm going to turn off automatic date and time. It was off. And then I'm going to go to a time zone that is as far ahead of my time zone as possible. For most people, that's going to be UTC plus 13, Tonga Tapu, or Kiribati, depending on what your phone shows. All right, I'm not changing the actual time in here. It's still like whatever hours and 58 minutes. I'm just changing the time zone. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and open Abyssrium. And bear with me because this takes a really long time because the game is really slow to boot up. But basically the premise of the Assistant Otter exploit is that when the server checks to see if you've harvested your resources for the day, it's only checking up to whatever time it thinks you are in based on your time zone. So if you harvest in a time zone that is ahead of your own, and then switch to a time zone that is before your own, then the Otter thinks that you haven't harvested your resources yet, and it will continue to generate your 5 resources. Hopefully the game is about to open up here. I apologize, it just takes so long. Here we go. All right. So as you can see, there's my Otter, and he has a seaweed above his head. So the best way to use this trick is in conjunction with the camera trick. So you're going to open your camera and close your camera, and that will change what resource the Otter is giving you. So I could use some extra crabs right now. I could use some extra krill. I could use some extra krill for sure. I don't need any clams because I had the clams glitch, so I'm going to go in and out of the camera mode to switch what's over his head. If you're being super and you only want krill, you can expect that this will take a little bit longer. Okay, so now my Otter is all harvested. I got my 5 packets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hard close the app. So what that means is I am closing the app completely, not just returning to my home screen. So closing the app entirely. Then I'm going back to my time zone settings. And you can see I was in GMT plus 13. I'm going to go to GMT plus 12, so 1 time zone before, but it's still ahead of my harvesting time. So now I'm going to go back in to the game, and it's going to take a really long time for it to load again. The time zone trick is a little time intensive. I would say it takes like 20-ish minutes to go all the way around the clock if you're being really picky about what resources you want. And the majority of the extra time that you're spending is just opening the app and waiting for it to load because the boot up takes so long. I don't know if that's because Abyssrium is really resource intensive or why that's the case, but it is by far the slowest app to boot up in my phone. So we're going to sit here and watch this beautiful screen for just another minute, hopefully. And voila. And as you can see, my Otter is replenished. She's got 5 more packets to give me. So I'm going to harvest. I don't want the clams, so I'm going to go in and out of camera mode. I still don't want clams, so I'm going to go in and out of camera mode. get some urchins, maybe. Wait for him to come back on screen. Still don't want clams. Don't want seaweed either. I know I mentioned the infinite seaweed and infinite clam glitch earlier. That was a glitch like when they very first introduced the farms, and it's no longer accessible. So unfortunately, if you weren't playing during that time, you just don't have access to that anymore. But that's why, like, when sometimes you'll see people's like amounts of clams and seaweeds, they'll be in the like 20 plus thousands, because you could literally harvest infinite seaweed. This isn't quite that good. You can get about, if you're doing it like optimally, so starting like an hour before your reset time and going all the way around the clock, you can get like between 16 and 18 packets depending on what time zone you're in. So times 5, that's whatever that is in math. I know I do all the math threads on the Reddit, but I use a calculator for those. I'm actually really bad at math. All right, and my otter is all done. So I'm going to hard close the app again. And then I'm literally just going to repeat those steps that I just did all the way around the clock. So next I would go to plus 11, then I would go to plus 10, plus 9, and so on and so forth until I got to my native time zone, which is -4. And at that point, the otter would not have anything more to give me. And then I would just repeat it again tomorrow at the same time. You can also do this trick if you are past the like the reset point for your otter. You just have to not open the app first. So like, say for example, I decided to start playing tonight at 11:30 and my otter already had like produced his resources for the day. As long as I didn't open the app and harvest at 11:30 and set my time zones ahead like beforehand, I could still use this trick. It just would have to be the first thing I did in the game rather than something I did after I'd already done all my quests, which is what I'm doing right now. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the exploit. If you have questions or comments or I wasn't clear with anything, leave a comment and let me know. Hopefully this helps a little bit for folks. I will also do my best to put captions on this video if I can, so that folks who have bad hearing like I do can still understand the video. Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much, guys, and happy fishing.